Thank you for joining us this morning, and this will be part 2 of our new teaching that we're doing on how to pronounce the Creator's name. We left off in our last session talking about the Creator's name and how we know that we should know how to pronounce the name, even though if you hear or listen to a lot of people, they tell you that there's no way to know how to pronounce the name, which again doesn't make any kind of sense whatsoever. When Yahuwah declared that we're to proclaim His name, make His name known, and that we are to, the Scripture says that His name is to be made, that His name would be made known into every generation. He said in Exodus chapter 3 that this was His memorial, this was His name of remembrance, to be remembered through every generation, that they were to proclaim the name. And if we didn't know how to pronounce his name, then we would not use His name. And that's why, that's a lie of the devil, that's a lie of Satan, to discourage people from pursuing how to find out how to pronounce His name. And the tragedy is that there's a lot of ways that people are pronouncing the name, and so it confuses so many people when they hear all these different uses of the name of the Creator, that they don't know which is correct and which is right. That's why I'm doing this session, and we'll continue to elaborate on this subject, because if you stay with this, you'll be assured of the fact this is the way Yahuwah is how His name is pronounced. Now, we're going to give you all the information that you need so that you feel confident. Even if you don't know Hebrew, you can learn by just watching this series and getting a greater understanding of the Hebrew letters, and understand how these letters had to be pronounced. When you recognize certain words that are pronounced certain ways, that you can put 2 plus 2 equals 4. They'll be that simple to you that you understand that there is one and only one way to pronounce the Creator's name. Now, just a little review here. This is the modern Hebrew letters which make up the Creator's name. And this is the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, which is what you'll find in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And again, as I mentioned in our last session, I believe this is the way that Yahuwah wrote His name on the Ten Commandments tablets when He met with Moses, or Moshe, and where He wrote His name on the Ten Commandments. And I believe that's the script that Yahuwah used. I like to say this is His signature and the way He wrote His name. But anyway, this is the modern script. These all, if you use these without vowel points, they will make the same sounds. It's just a different script. This is the modern script that you see today in Hebrew. Now, as I stated to you, that Hebrew reads from right to left, and so you would start by this first letter here to arrive at the pronunciation of the name. I'm going to go through first on how each letter should sound. The first letter, this right here, these 2 letters are the same. Without vowel points, they would be pronounced the same. This is referred to in modern Hebrew as the letter Yod, but in ancient Hebrew, this letter really should be pronounced as Yod. Now, I'm going to read this to you. I made some notes here. The Yod, and by the way, if you look this up, it's spelled, the letter itself is spelled with the Yod and the Dalet, which would give you the pronunciation Yod. This actually represents the hand. This actually, if you look at it in this script here, it actually looks like a hand. It actually is more than just a hand. The hand is more than just our hand that we think of, where our 5 fingers are, but the hand actually represented the forearm as well. So in Hebrew, it actually meant more than just the hand itself. It actually represented the arm. And actually, when they crucified the Mashiach, they didn't put the nails up here in His hand here. They were actually put down in here, in here, in His arm, where His forearm was, is where the nails were put. So this actually represents the whole hand of man, or our Creator. And so that's what this letter represents. Now, how it's pronounced, again, it has the sound, the Y sound. This letter has a Y sound, as in yard, and when it's at the beginning of a word. When you find this letter in the middle of a word, it has the sound of E, as in speed. So you'll notice that in Hebrew that it actually has the Y sound at the beginning of a letter, and it has the E sound when it's anywhere else in the word. And it sounds like speed, like the word speed, the E part is how that is sounded out. But again, that's the first letter of the Creator's name. The second letter is what we refer to, is the second letter here, is in modern Hebrew is referred to as a He, but in ancient Hebrew you would pronounce it as a Ha. But that's the letter here. And this letter, the Ha, represents to behold or to look at, to see. The sound that it makes is gives the sound of the H sound, as in hot. You hear the letter hot. You hear the H sound at the beginning of a word. Now it has a different sound where it's found at the end of a word. It makes the ah sound, and we know this. And by the way, you'll find this is the letter that's in Yahuwah's name twice. Now we're going to get in this in just a minute, but as I said, when it's found at the end of the letter, it has the ah sound. Yah, U, this letter here we're going to get into in just a minute, makes the U sound, ha. Yahuwah. It makes the ah sound at the end because we know that for certain words, like, give you an example, the word, our English word is Judah, but in Hebrew it originally would have been pronounced Yahudah. The Yahudah, ah, is the last letter here of the word Yahudah, and it's pronounced with that ah sound. It's at the beginning or at a word, it makes the ha, but in the end of a word, it makes the ah sound. Okay, we'll go in more detail about that, but just want to point that out to you. Now, the third letter, which has most controversy about it, which is really where a lot of people get tripped up, is this word right here. This letter here is the sixth letter in the Hebrew alphabet. This is referred to in modern Hebrew as the letter Wa or Vav. And I'm going to show you. Okay. Now going back, this is the letter itself. Actually, it looks this in more of the ancient script right here. This is the modern letter, but it's supposed to make the same sound regardless. If you did not put vowel points around it, it would make the same sound. Now, again, in modern Hebrew, this letter is referred to as a Wa or a Vav. But in ancient Hebrew, you would not find this sound. This is only found by vowel pointing this letter to make the Wa or the W sound or the V sound. And this is where most confusion, because people try to arrive at the correct pronunciation of the Creator's name by using modern Hebrew. They use the vowel points, and that's where they all get confused and messed up. You can't arrive at the accurate pronunciation of the Creator by using modern Hebrew with vowel points. You have to understand that there was a standard way that these letters were pronounced. And one of the lies that is perpetuated is that through Hebrew today is that you have to have these vowel points in order to supply the vowels, that there is no vowels in the Hebrew letters, which is not accurate. We're going to talk more about that, and not today, but we're going to get into that, because all these letters in ancient Hebrew, without vowel points, did have vowel sounds. There were 5 vowel sounds, and we'll talk about that in these letters. And you'll see that as you, because there had to be a standard way of pronouncing these letters, and so we're going to show you how that we know for sure of the way that these letters were pronounced. But going back to this letter here, this is where most people get messed up. This letter in ancient Hebrew has the U sound. It's really referred to as a double U. That's where we really get the letter W in our English language, because the letter W, if you think about it, is really two U's put together, when you put two U's together, you get the oo sound. So this is why we know that the first three letters of the Creator's name is pronounced Yahoo. 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 All these, without vowel points, these three letters in modern as well as the ancient Hebrew will make the sound Yahoo. Now, that is found in the word Yahudah. The same first three letters in the word Yahudah you will find in the Creator's name. Actually, in the word Yahudah, let me see if I've got it written out here, you'll actually see that this is one of the ways that we know how to pronounce, one of the ways that we even verify that we know how to pronounce the Creator's name. I don't think I have it. What I do is the name Yehudah. This is the tribe of Yehudah, and it's spelled exactly the same way that you would spell Yahuwah's name, but it's got an extra letter in here in between the third letter, the Yahuwah, or the U sound, and the Hey or the Ha letter at the end. It's in between there. It's the letter, in our English letter, it would be the letter D. That's where we get Yahudah, or it's the letter Dalet in Hebrew. Now, if you were to, when you say Yahudah, if you recognize that all you have to do is take the letter D out of Yehudah, and you have Yahuwah. That's another way of we knowing that the name of the Creator is pronounced Yahuwah, and it's not. By the way, these three letters, going back to Yahoo, we know that the third letter could not be a W sound because we don't pronounce Yehudah as Yahwudah. In other words, we could not use a W here, or the W sound, or a V sound. Yavada, we could not pronounce Yehudah Yavada or Yawada. It's Yahudah. That's how Yehudah was pronounced. These three letters made the sound Yahoo. With the Dalet, it would be Yahudah, is how Yehudah was pronounced. Again, Yahuwah, this is how we arrive and know that the name Yahuwah right here above this is spelled exactly the same Yehudah, except it's got an extra letter, which is the letter D in our English, or the letter Dalet in Hebrew. So going back up here, this little chart here, you see the first two letters, the Yod and the Hey, give us Yah. The three letters, the Yod, the Hey, and the Uah, give us Yahoo. And then all letters together give us Yahuwah. This gives us just one extra letter in here to get the pronunciation of Yahudah, the letter D. And the Jews were actually, we use the word Jew today, but it's actually Yahudi is how you would identify a Jewish person individually, would be a Yehudi. Or he would, if it's a group of Jews, they would be pronounced as Yahudim. Yahudim is how you would refer to them. Okay, we're going to stop here, then we're going to get back into some more good information, helping you to have confidence in the way that the Creator's name is pronounced. And we're going to get into also the way that you see it. I see it written a lot of times with people writing it with the letter W inserted in there, which causes to me a lot of confusion. There's no need to put an extra letter in the Yahuwah's name, even though you may say you still pronounce it Yahuwah, but you spell it with a W in there. That causes a lot of confusion. That there's no need to do that because it's just unnecessary. We're going to talk about that maybe in our next session when we're together. So it's just a beautiful morning out here. I'm glad to get some recording done, and we'll spend quite a few times today, and hopefully this afternoon, and definitely tomorrow. The weather's going to be nice again, so I'll be able to do a lot of more teaching here outside. And I want you to have a blessed, prosperous day. I love you. Yahuwah loves you. And shalom. We'll see you next time.